further ado, let's get rolling on our presentation. I want to introduce our first speaker of the day, Secretary Dave Ross.
Good morning. Can everybody hear in back? Did you hear Mr. Gasper? Hey, thumbs up. That's okay.
And I
You did your job. That's okay. Greg is our division administrator. In fact, he was our executive administrator of our agency as well. So he's worn a couple of hats, got a lot of experience throughout our agency, and now he's back in board services. And we couldn't be more proud of what Greg is doing for all of us here, and making sure that one of our largest responsibilities in our agency is board. We have about over 70 boards that meet in our building. We are probably, and I could probably ask Eric Esser here, we're probably the largest agency with appointments that people who come in get appointed by the governor or myself that serve on the different boards and councils in our agency. So we have a lot of broad authority in a lot of different areas. Let me give you a short overview of our agency in general. During Governor Walker's first budget, we merged the Department of Commerce and the Department of Regulation and Licensing together to form this new agency, the Department of Safety and Professional Services. So we do a number of things, all the way from issuing about 250 different license groups in the state of Wisconsin to inspecting fair rides and code enforcement and commercial plan review. We're the OSHA agency for state buildings and employees. We do a whole bunch of odd things, like we regulate mixed martial arts, or MMA, in the state of Wisconsin. That big smackdown in Milwaukee here, we had 22 of our employees managing that event to make sure they follow state laws and regulations in having that kind of. We appoint the boxing commissioner in the state of Wisconsin. So as diverse as we are, we actually touch everything in your life. If you rode in an elevator today, we inspect, regulate, and approve plans for elevators. So a number of diverse responsibilities. But your job, being a member of one of the many boards that we have in our agency, is, first of all, I want to thank you for your service. I want to thank you for taking the time and volunteering and being on the board. And having in my life, in my 60s now, having been on a lot of boards in my lifetime, I really appreciate the fact that you said yes when you were asked, or agreed to apply to accept a position on our boards. Thank you for service. Thank you for your time. It's a big job. It's a very important job, and it's something we can't do without here in the state of Wisconsin. So thanks for your service. Thanks for taking this day off to come down and be trained. And I know for some of you, I know I was self-employed for over 25 years. When I took a day off, it meant no pay. It meant no compensation. It meant strictly not only giving my time, but giving up income. And for many of you, that is the case as well. So thank you so much. One of the things we constantly hear, and I'm around the state almost every week on the road, and we often hear criticisms of enforcement or policies or decisions that are made by boards or councils, and they'll often state it this way. They'll say, your agency won't let me do this, or your agency is doing this to me. And many times I have to explain the relationship that we have between our agency and your board. Now, we only direct license about 15% of the licenses that we issue. Only about 15% are directly licensed from our agency with no governance by a board or committee. So that's the only license group in which we have direct authority or contact with. Otherwise, most of the licenses that are issued are under some sort of governing board or examining board through our agency. And so in that decision-making process and the authority that you exercise through your board service and the tough decisions that you have to make, especially when it comes to discipline towards the license holder, often we're blamed for that. I'll get an angry call on the phone and say, you know, you took my license, your agency. And I said, no. Actually, what happened was your peers, your colleagues, those that serve with you in that particular area took that action, and for good reason. And so you hold a lot of authority. Mostly our job as an agency is to staff you and supply you with services and make sure that you have the adequate resources to do your job. And one of the great things about Governor Walker's budget, this agency had a number of financial challenges prior to Governor Walker taking office. And due to the first budget and also due to the second budget that has been passed under this administration, we now are fully funded and have all the resources it takes to do our job. And that's good news. That means if you need to travel, that if you need a number of other resources, you need extra meetings or you need the resources to have those meetings, we have the funds to adequately fund the activities on your board. So what we don't want to hear is we can't do our job because we don't have the resources. I guarantee you, you'll have the resources. We'll give the resources if they're reasonable and needed for you to do your job. We don't want to be tying your hands behind your back, get you all the way through this process, and then have you end up not being able to do your job. So we're looking forward to your service. We're looking forward to what you're doing. And I'm looking at a veteran board member practically in the middle of this room. Now he's smiling because I'm going to pick on him. But Jim Rush, he goes all the way back to the Thompson administration, and then I think he was on with Lewis and Clark, I think your colleague was saying. He was on some committee to settle the West. I don't know what that had to do with back then. But anyways, we have some that have incredible dedicated service to the state and have agreed to stay in their position and serve their profession and do what they've been doing, guys like Jim. And we have many of them that serve on many of our boards. So thank you for your service. We want to help you do your job. We want to adequately give you the resources you need to do your job. And if you have any issues with any of those, this is why we have Greg Gasper. So don't call me, call him. If you want to say nice things, call me. If you want to say really nasty things, call him. I've never seen him get upset once in my life. You'll never be able to raise the temperature on this guy, but I know he'll do his job by making sure that he'll help you in whatever issue that will be. Now, the last thing I just want to touch on real quickly is this is a big job. It's a hard job, and you get nothing for it. Just recently, we took a picture, and I wish, Greg, I don't know, is there a slide anywhere in your presentations of Joe standing next to, we have one of our staffers here in the agency, and he's standing next to, this was for the screening activity, med board screening, and the information we send out to the board members, this is literally a stack this high. He put his arm this high, and that has to be reviewed, in this case, by med board members every single month. Before we went electronic with the med board, we would pack them up and send them out parcel post in packages of 15 to 2,000 pages apiece. Multiple packages being delivered to their offices around the state. And the nursing board has another board that has a tremendous load because of the number of license holders that they manage in the state of Wisconsin. Nurses is the largest group of our license holders in the state. It's about 106,000 nurses that we license, about 80,000 RNs and other specialties. So there's a lot of responsibility, there's a lot of work, and go to it, and we thank you for your service.